Hey, hello everyone and welcome in a new video. In this video we will discover how to go inside the pod if you know Docker, and if you check the playlist about Docker, we have seen how to use Docker exec to go inside the container, Docker container. So this is the same exercise globally in this video, and to know how to try to begin to debug pod into our Kubernetes cluster. Before, you can subscribe to the channel to not miss the next video. You can like this video and comment this one, of course, and you can talk about this YouTube channel with your colleagues, co-workers, etc. Let's go. So this is normally it's a little video. I want to take care about your time, of course. So let's go. The first command line really useful into Kubernetes is kubectl run. We already saw this command line, but it's really useful, like we can see right now. So the first command line, we can use kubectl run test. Test is the name about the pod, and -- image. This is just a name about our image. In this case, this is an Alpine, so this is a little image, really quick to spawn it. And we want, for example, to run just a command, and we use a separator with -- between the command and, of course, the end of the kubectl run. And in this case, we just launch only echo 0 command. And to do that, we can go on our cluster. If I check kubectl get pod, nothing into it. So we can use kubectl, like we said, run, the name about the container, and we want to run -- image, and we want to spawn an Alpine image, the separator, and echo equal 1, like here. And if we do again kubectl get pod, so the container pulls the image, so kubectl and the container at time pull the image, and now we have a pod running, but this pod crash loop, like I think like we have seen in the previous video, because by default Kubernetes try to restart the pod if this pod is considered like failed. And this is this case because we have an echo equal 1, and this command line terminating with normally with exit 1, but at the end, like we spawn a pod, Kubernetes try to restart it because Kubernetes want to have a process that run forever. So this is not our case. We can just run kubectl logs to check what we have into the log, kubectl logs, and the name about our pod, for example, test. And of course, in the logs, we have our output, so this is 1 because we use echo equal 1. Okay, so now you can say me that we don't want to have, of course, the crash loop back off, and to do that, we just want to set the -- restart equal never to never restart the pod. So we can do it. So I can delete the previous pod with kubectl delete pod, and the name, of course, of our pod. Okay, now nothing into it, and we can just reuse the command line here, and we can add, for example, here restart, and we want to restart never, like this, equal never, restart equal sorry. Oh, yeah. This is rare, so never with the uppercase. Not really understandable, this kind of stuff. But now, if we put kubectl get pod, we have the status completed for our pod, and of course we keep this status. The container already runs, and now it's okay. Of course we can reuse the kubectl logs, and we have echo equal at 1. Okay. Just after that, for example, another use case, we want to spawn a pod, but at the end, when the pod and when the process into the pod, into the container is completed, we don't want to keep the pod. So to do that, we can delete again our pod, and we can use the --rm to remove the pod at the end when the process exit, and -ti to have a terminal in interactive mode. So to do that, we just add --rm and -ti like this. And if we run it, normally, okay, we have echo equal 1 here, and at the end, of course, the process is just terminated at the end of the echo equal 1, and after that you can see that Kubernetes said us that the pod test is deleted. So if I can use kubectl get pod like here, nothing into it because the pod was deleted. Okay, so another really interesting stuff, for example, maybe you want to use curl, and you want to use it, for example, to curl another container with a web server or stuff like that, and you don't want to use kubectl exec like we will see just after, and you want to run another pod and try with this pod to curl your web server, for example. And to do that, it's really easy. You can use the curl images curl image and use the -- like we used previously, and the curl command because we use the Docker image based with curl, and for example google.com like here. So we can do it like this. We use curl images, and we use the curl image into it, restart never --rm -ti, and we don't want equal 1, but we want to use directly curl and google.com, for example. We can use http, https if you want, and if we run it, we can wait because we need to pull the curl image, and after that, of course, we have the output about our curl command. So this is the output about the curl on directly on google.com, not with HTTPS, etc. Of course, so we have 301 return code, so HTTP code, and after that, of course, at the end, the curl is finished. So our process is terminated, and after that, of course, Kubernetes delete the pod. Okay, and now what we want to do, we want to go to run a pod, but to go directly inside this pod. So to do that, it's really easy. We can use again kubectl run again, and for example, we can name it debug, and with an image, of course, but we can use the Debian image. By default, this is the latest, like here, but we can just keep Debian, and with Debian here, we can put again --rm -ti to keep an interactive terminal, and after that, what we want to have into it, we just want to run a bash. So of course that takes a little bit of time to pull the image, but at the end, what we will have a bash inside our pod. So we are here in the pod named debug. So we can, for example, use apt update, and after that, apt. So take a few seconds. Apt install, for example. What we want to install, for example, curl. Okay, let's go. And you can use into the pod the curl command, curl with dash SSL with HTTPS on google.com, for example, and it works, of course. Okay, and if I just use ctrl-D, like here, of course, I exit of the pod, and when I exit of this pod, I just terminated the process, the main process of our pod, because the main process is the bash. So if I just exit of the bash, the process is terminated, and of course Kubernetes deleted again the debug pod. Okay, so nothing into our cluster. Another use case, we already have seen that we can create a simple deployment with kubectl create deploy the name of our deployment -- image equal nginx. We can directly create an expose, so to create a service of our nginx deployment with kubectl expose deploy nginx -- port to expose the port 80. And how to test it? This is a current, and usually it's really useful to use this kind of stuff. So we can test it. Kubectl deploy. What we want to deploy? We want to deploy the kubectl. Sorry, kubectl deploy. We want to deploy the deployment named nginx, for example, with the image nginx. And which one again? That's it for this part. And we can use, of course, we can combine these two command line, and we can use kubectl again, but expose. We want to expose what our deploy or deployment named nginx on the port 80, like here. Sorry, deploy kubectl deploy, something missing. Expose deploy nginx. I think it's good, no? For deployment kubectl expose. So I can run the first. Something missing. What? That came from create. Sorry. Yes, create deploy. What we want to do, of course, create deploy, and it runs. So in this case, we can use kubectl get all, like here, and we have all things that we run into our default namespace. So we have the deployment, but it's just in. It's not ready because we need to pull the nginx image. Now it's okay, it works. And we have the pod here, and we have the service here with this cluster IP. We will see services in the next video. This is why we need to discover some command line in this video. And now, for example, you want to test your pod here and your service. So if we use kubectl get svc for service, we want to test this service. If I just use a curl here, it works, but sometimes you need to go inside your cluster to test it, because sometimes the service is not directly exposed on your Kubernetes client. For example, if you use Kubernetes client directly on your laptop, you can't do that. So to do that, for example, you can use, so we will see later, we can use kubectl port forward to do that, but another solution is to run a pod just aside of our previous pod, our Nginx, and we can use again kubectl run the debug pod, for example, and with the image, so we can use alpine again, and after that we want to use --rm and we want to have a TTY, yes, a TTY, a terminal interactive in our case, and we want to run, we use alpine, so we just we can just run sh for our default bash, and now we can use apk update and apk add to add the curl command here. Okay, and now we can use it directly inside the pod. We can, for example, curl directly the service here, like here, and we can curl, for example, the pod. I don't know if I can, yeah. So we can use another terminal, go directly into 0s10, like here, I think. No, which 0s, not cs10, and now we can use kubectl get pod -o wide, like we have seen previously, and we have the IP of our Nginx pod here, and of course we can run pod curl directly on the pod, like here, and it works again. Of course, the pod is directly deleted by Kubernetes because the process is terminated for our debug container, so it's okay. After that, some other command line, you can run, for example, directly the -- another command, for example, hostname, but many times you want to to see, for example, we will want to see the environment variables. So to do that, we can use the env command. So let's go. We can run, so this is kubectl exec. So when we use kubectl run, we create a new pod, but if you want to go directly into the pod, the Nginx pod, like here, we can use kubectl exec. This is exactly the same thing like we use docker exec, for example. And we want, for example, to have an interactive terminal, or maybe not. To begin, we can, for example, directly run the hostname command line, and if we run it directly, we have the output of the hostname command line, and that's it. It's not a new pod, it's just that we go into the pod Nginx, run the hostname, and get the output. That's it. And after that, maybe you want to have the output of env to see what we have into our environment and which environment variable do we have. You can see by default we have many Kubernetes environment variables. So the IP, for example, here the IP of the pod, the port, etc. And now what we can do, for example, you can execute multiple commands directly in one bash command, and never go directly into the pod and keep your terminal into it. You can use the bash-c for command option to do that. For example, if we want to run something into our Nginx pod, we can use the --bash c, like here, and now after that, -c, after that, we can do many things that we want to do. For example, apt update. What we want to do, we can add some other command line. Apt install, for example, curl with dash y, of course, to be sure to not have a prompt to confirm that we want to install curl. And after that, the curl, and with the https on google.com, like here, https, and we can add, of course, some option here, and like here, we can see that we are here with the update, after that with the install, and just after that we have the output of the Google homepage. Okay, and we can use ping again. Yes, this is a really useful element. Sometimes in the pod you never have, you can't have the ping directly, so we want to install ping with IP utils dash ping, and after that so we want to ping, for example, what we want to ping, for example, google.fr, and again update, install, and after that we have the output of the ping, and of course it's forever, so we can use the exit, and it's okay now. And of course we are inside an existing pod, so the Nginx pod run again and forever. And sometimes you can have multiple containers inside the same pod, and we have already seen that, I think. And if you want to connect to a specific container, you can use the kubectl, like for example like this one, and to be sure to be in one of these containers. So before, you need to know each container do we have into the pod. So to do that, you can use, for example, kubectl get pod -o YAML, like here, and you can see here that we have the list of all containers here, the default list in the specification, and you can see here we have the image Nginx, and the container is named Nginx. So we can use kubectl exec, for example, for this one, kubectl exec, like here, kubectl exec, and we want to exec this pod. And if you have many containers, you need to specify which container do you want to use, or Kubernetes give you a default container into it, but you are not sure to choose the right container. So you can use -c to specify a container with, for example, Nginx container --bash, like here. So we need to use again -ti and -ti only, like here. And we are into this container. Okay. For example, you can run ps command. No, not ps2. So okay. And of course, you can combine all output that you have into the kubectl get pod. You can run, for example, like here, xargs, but we will see later, I think, how to use awk. I love to use awk with kubectl output, so you can filter, you can use multiple command line in bash, etc., to do many things and many tricky things with your kubectl output. So that's it for today. In the next video, we will see service types. So this is really, really important. This video is really useful for you if you want to to achieve, for example, the CKA or other certification is the base. If you are beginners, it's really important to see that. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss the next video. Don't forget to like this one, comment this one, and talk about the channel on all your for your colleagues or companies, etc. See you, bye bye.